Back like we haven't even left, Jake. Pod on Lansdowne is back once again. Happy Friday, everyone, as you're listening to this. But you're hearing from us because we have some major breaking news in the world of the Boston Red Sox. I mean, you talk about something that completely turns the tide of not only this season, not only next season, but potentially seasons to come. Some major developments coming from Jersey Street that we just had to hop on and do an emergency podcast for. Liam is actually at the game tonight, Thursday night, as you're listening to this. We could not be joined by Liam, but we're joined by the lovely Sophie, Jake's lovely girlfriend here, to kind of fill in as a third. But let's cut right to the chase here. Some major news for the Boston Red Sox. They have placed right-handed pitcher Kenley Jansen on the COVID-19 related injury list. I mean, God, Jake.
Lord, carry him now.
COVID's still out there, guys.
It is. I guess.
It really is.
Get
so
the shot,
take
new booster.
Who just had it? Who had it a couple weeks ago? Bernardino?
I believe so.
Too.
Yeah. So something's happening in that Red Sox bullpen.
Yeah,
they are
nasty
coughing
business.
on door handles. They're
kissing.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
They're smooch. Hopefully they have, what's the, Gardasil is the kissing one, right? That's the vaccine for that. Isn't that what it is?
For kissing? It's a vaccine for kissing?
Yeah, I think it prevents against HPV.
I think that's just like having a podcast.
Well, yeah, oh, goodness. Wow, and you invited her on. Wow. That's actually a pretty good burn there. Yeah, right. I was going to say, well, Jake has the authority for that. I could just mute both of you. It could just be me. But seriously, though, Chaim Bloom, out of here. Arrested, 25 to life for grand theft auto and assault with the intent to murder.
He took the cow.
He took the cow. Folks, he took the cow. No. Chaim Bloom has been dismissed, relieved of his duties, fired by the Boston Red Sox, no longer the head honcho of the front office, no longer, what was it, the president of baseball operations was his official title, right? So,
yeah.
He's no longer here anymore. Jake, I'll give it right to you. I'll give it to you straight, and Sophie as well. How are we feeling?
Well, Fitz, as a wise man once said, there's actually zero difference between good and bad things.
You fucking morons.
So that's probably where the truth lies, I would say, somewhere in there. But, oh gosh, I don't know, man. Initial thoughts, I was genuinely, you know what? It's like I was surprised, but I wasn't. I thought I would be more surprised, if that makes sense.
I was
like
pretty surprised.
When the news hit, I was like, oh, yeah, all right.
Because did we not, Jesus, I can't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but like earlier this week, didn't we say, or was it maybe the week prior, where we said like, Chaim gets like one more year here, and then he might be shown the door, right?
I thought he would.
I could have definitely 100% foreseen a world where Chaim Bloom, in 12 months from now, was no longer the head of the front office, no longer the president of baseball ops for the Red Sox. I could not have seen it being 2 weeks from when we had said that, you know what I mean? And then we sit here, and he's gone. So in that regard, yeah, I am surprised. I genuinely am surprised. I did not think it was going to happen before season's end. I thought he was going to have one more year, but no. I've been wrong about a lot of things in my life, and I'll be wrong about a whole lot of other things going forward. So just add this to the list.
I've never been wrong, so this is interesting for me.
Sophie, how does it feel to be with someone who's, just now wrong for the first time?
Thank you for asking. I have prepared a statement.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow.
Not about that, but I was waiting for my in.
Oh, so this is our Jewish correspondent, Sophie.
Well, you're Jewish as well, Jake, right?
Well, half.
No, he lies when it is most advantageous.
I'm Jewish when it's convenient.
Mother's side, though, right?
Yes.
Isn't that the big
It's
one?
in my blood.
That's gonna spike.
Wow,
Sorry.
look at this, Fitz. Look at this.
Thank you, Mr. Mopena. In anticipation of this moment, I have prepared a statement.
Sorry for the spikes in the audio.
I am profoundly saddened, nay, sickened, by the events that unfolded today, Thursday, September 14th, 2023. A day that will live in infamy as one of the darkest ever for Red Sox Nation and for the American Jewish community. I don't say this lightly, but I know that it is my duty to shine a light on injustice when I see it. And frankly,
Jesus Christ.
the world has not seen an anti-Semitic, bigoted hate crime
Oh!
of this magnitude Since a certain 5'9" mustache man.
Oh no.
It is now 7:30 p.m. and I have had a couple hours to contemplate and reflect on this tragedy.
Still went with the Yaddy reference.
And friends, some striking parallels have emerged. The 2023 Boston Red Stockings are in absolute hell. We know this. But do you know who else was in hell? The German Republic in 1932. Where they lost World War I, we lost Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, and of course Kike Hernandez. And folks, if you take away the accent in Kike, well. Anyway, constituencies of both societies were angry. They felt they deserved to be amongst the most powerful and successful of their peers. Scrambling, those in power realized that if they were to win the people's favor, they would need to shift the blame. Simply put, they needed a scapegoat.
Quick question. Could I interject real quick?
No.
Where does the beer hall push fit into all of this? What analogy is that a part of? Have we thought that deep into it?
That would be the 2021 ALCS.
Okay, continue.
And, well, both
you
the
don't
Red...
Need, you don't need to be that close to the microphone. It's a good microphone.
Why are you interrupting my speech?
Yeah, you didn't have to.
And, well, both the Boston Red Sox organization and the Federal Republic of Germany in 1930 settled on the same answer. The Jews.
Jesus Christ.
Today, my heart hurts. I find the actions of this organization to be reprehensible, utterly shameless, and in complete disregard of the team's overall well-being.
Pushes her back for the mic.
Chaim Bloom is a patriot. He is a scholar. He took a nothing farm and transformed it into one of the greatest in Red Sox history. Yet still, because of his Jewish heritage,
that one in 16
allegedly,
was pretty special, Jake. The 2016 farm.
Yet still, because of his Jewish heritage, allegedly, he was unceremoniously let go. Why? Because John Henry will do anything in his power to drive the Red Sox further into the ground. And also because he doesn't like Jews.
Oh, Dave Chappelle wrap it up button.
There is no defending this action. And with Theo out of the running, there is not a single remotely logical justification for today's events. The Boston Red Sox should be ashamed. Thank you. I will now take questions.
So, Jake, the point is, I feel like I've always been a Chaim centrist because,
Yeah,
you know,
I was kind of part of the Bluminati, but I understand. The last. Listen, I would say this trade deadline a little bit kind of.
Is there an earthquake going on at
No,
your?
I hit the table. This trade deadline had a.
You know who else hit the table many times when I'm making an emphatic point? And Sophie would bring up in her letter, I'm sure.
Adolf.
Well, didn't have to say it, but there you go.
Some of your listeners
You do
probably
not
aren't
have to
smart.
speak directly into the microphone.
I need my voice to be heard. Are you trying to silence me as a woman?
Yeah, Fitz. All right, let's break it down. I think the good rebuilt the farm. There's no denying that. And I'd say it about ends there, frankly.
So here's the thing. Some of the shots he took, the low-stakes one, did end up panning out. Some of them didn't, but that's the nature of the deals that they were. They were low risk with potentially pretty solid reward. And of course, yeah, rebuilt the farm system. There was a point made on the Over the Monster emergency episode with Dan and Brian that's just a virtue of him sitting on basically all of his prospects. I disagree to an extent. Him and the front office made some pretty good draft picks over the last couple of years. Marcel and Meyer, like, even out of the picture, like, they were able to still develop the farm system in solid ways outside of that. Here's my general sort of takeaway from all of this. On one hand, I think it's a little unfair to him to be like, okay, well, you traded away Mookie Betts, you came in to do that, gave him a couple years to rebuild that farm system and kind of build it from there, and then for him to not be able to see, the fruits of those labors, that kind of bites for Chaim Bloom. I feel for him in that regard. On the other hand, I think there have been multiple instances now where the team has been on the precipice of making a late season run, and that huge blockbuster sort of deal that could really push them over the top did not come to fruition. You could argue Kyle Schwarber in 21. Sure, fine. But even then, he only got him at a discount because he was on the injured list, right? Bloom has not shown in his tenure, or had not shown because it's over, the 10 years over, had not shown that he was ready to go all in on the team. You could argue that that's the right idea, that that's the wrong idea, one way or the other, but that is true. He has not pushed his chips in to the extent of how good of an idea that is or how bad of an idea that is. That's up for you to decide.
Well, yeah, I mean, is that really, can that be considered any sort of knock on Chaim when none of the Red Sox teams during his tenure deserved to be went all in on?
That 21 team, came 2 wins away from the World Series, and even this team was like a game or two outside of the wild card.
Well,
accidentally,
the team wasn't that good.
They won a World Championships accidentally in 2013.
Well, there was also a bombing.
That's true.
Jesus Christ.
Well, okay,
Oh
so
no, I'm so serious.
so-
They had the storyline. They had the drive.
So here's where I'm at. I think that they were looking down the pipeline of these next, you say 7 months, whatever,
Sure.
6 months of like, this is, we're ready to push the chips in. And they looked at Chaim's
Track
trade
record.
history,
Yeah.
and they said, that's not good enough, basically. They were like, you're not that guy for what we need to do now. And is it a little fucked up that they were like, okay, rebuild the farm, and then we're going to show you the door? Yeah, it's a cold world, but...
Evil world we live in, to quote Future.
Yeah, cold world, bundle up. But it's also like... He lost a good amount of trades. I'm not going to... I defended him often, but almost every trade he made, like, outside of the Vasquez
I was going to say
trade-
the Vasquez one was a very good deal.
Yeah.
Well, let's run through them.
Yeah,
because-
no, I'll
No,
run through
we don't have
Mookie.
time to run through all the trades.
No,
The big
like
ones,
the big
the
ones,
big
the big
ones.
ones.
Okay.
Mookie, bad.
An absolute loss.
But
However
Mookie
many
was
times
going
over.
to
It doesn't
leave.
matter. Guys get traded at the deadline.
Not going to
Mookie.
relitigate this.
But the Benintendi trade, fine, I guess. He still like won a Gold Glove and a Silver Slugger after he left. He was an all-star.
I would even at worst I'd call that a wash, because even like Winkowski's a solid pitcher. And Benintendi,
Yeah.
he had that good year with Kansas City, but hasn't really done a ton ever since going to New York. The
Renfroe trade, a complete fucking disaster
Yeah.
What was that deal for again?
for JBJ and 2 prospects.
Yeah, that hurt.
Taking on all the JBJ money, that was a absolute disaster. Benellis and David Hamilton. And then, and Fitz, a great quote. A wrong decision is often better than indecision. And I think that's pretty much the indictment on Chaim. No?
A lot of indecision.
Yeah.
Because we keep talking about, it's a great farm system, and it is.
It is.
But not all these guys are going to be developed to be big league players on the Red Sox. That's just the fact of it. I hate
But
to
it's
say
not
the
even
obvious.
that. That's one thing. I think the other end of it is we've heard for like 2 years now about certain deals that didn't get done.
Yeah.
And this isn't even
Interest Kings, baby.
Yeah, this isn't like the smear campaign, because we've known about a lot of these for a while. Like there was we heard about the Paxton thing at this most recent deadline. They said no, that's not good enough. Last year there was I believe there was offers for JD on the table, and they weren't good enough. Last deadline I think was when I began to kind of sour at least a little bit, because I still think he bungled that to the point of like.
Yeah, trying to half buy, half sell. You know what I mean? It was a whole
No,
thing.
that was actually a great move. The Diekman for Reese was.
Yeah, I thought that was
Okay.
career. legacy.
But I mean,
building.
you could.
Yeah, you really cranked that one out.
You could have cashed out if you knew you weren't going to pay Xander. If you knew Nate was going to walk, JD, you clearly never had interest in retaining anyway. I mean, these people had value at the deadline.
But you also have to consider and I know that like his job is to ignore the fans for the most part, but imagine the absolute uproar if he had traded Mookie and then proceeded to get rid of JD, Nate, etc., all the folks you listed.
I even think at that point it was kind of.
Well, it's like, I mean, being a GM
there.
is what have you done for me lately? You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
would it have been bad the second half of last year and then maybe the first half of this year? But then those prospects would probably start to arrive, and you would see. I mean, you're just boosting 3 months of vitriol. I mean, they all walked anyway. It doesn't really matter.
And Chaim has also made moves where he's kind of thrown the human element out of it, like for the sake of like brass tacks. Does this make sense for baseball? Because the Vasquez deal 100% made sense and it worked, but that situation, the human aspect of the Vasquez thing, that pissed off a lot of guys in that clubhouse, I think. And Chaim Chaim had shown, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't think it's a complete disregard of the human element of it, but I think he outweighed, the stuff in between the lines more than that, I think. So to say that, he would have, paid a ton of mind to the emotional aspect of trading a JD away or an Evaldi last year, I don't know if I totally buy that sort of point. I don't know if that makes any sense of what I'm saying, but you picking up what I'm putting down here a little bit.
I don't even know that is him though, because we know that John Henry is susceptible to bullying, and I think that
which I think this move might very well be. I think people are kind of getting in.
Well, that I completely agree. I do think that it is him listening to the going on Twitter and seeing what people are saying and trying to make people happy, because it is not logical, but that is besides the point. In my opinion, I think that Chaim was put in a nearly impossible position with an ownership that was full of so many contradicting opinions and mandates for him that made his job utterly impossible, both with the resistance towards big payouts, but also with what was clearly a very inconsistent strategy and ideology.
Well, that's Fenway Sports Group in general. Every 4 years. I was thinking about this on the drive-in, Jake. They just give 4-year tenures to their general managers or president of baseball ops past Theo. It's all been 4 years, right? Charrington 4, Deal and Dave 4, Chaim 4.
Well, my thing today was how can I? Okay, so 2020, I think we all kind of throw that one out. That's whatever.
Yeah.
21, you do accidentally go to the ALCS, and then it's like, okay, you take stock there, and then the next 2 years, I mean, for the most part, have been disasters. Like, it's not. I didn't think they were going to win the World Series either the last 2 years, but if you're a little smarter with those short deals you hand out, like, I don't think another playoff push would have been ridiculous. I mean, I saw a tweet today. Fitz, listen to this. Yoshida, Kike Hernandez, Christian Arroyo, Trevor Story, Corey Kluber, Caleb Ort, Joely Rodriguez, and Richard Blyer counted for $69 million against the Red Sox CBT this season. And Fitz, 0 of them were worth 1 WAR.
That's not nice. The number was nice, but the 0 WAR number, not nice.
Yeah, I mean, that money can be. I mean, he made Corey Kluber the opening day starter this year. Like, the dude was not.
If you're anti-Chaim, that's your grand opening, grand closer right there.
To Chaim's credit, he was, I think, pretty good at evaluating position players. Like, I don't have a ton of
undervalued positional guys. I mean, Turner has been a revelation for this offense, for an offense that has had its ups and downs.
I mean, the Vaz trade, he clearly saw something in Abreu and Valdez. Both can hit. I mean, but it's like the pitching, I think that really is what ultimately probably lost him the job.
I mean, from the get-go with pitching this year.
But last year was bad too.
Yeah, right?
I mean, I'm not saying it's easy to build a starting rotation, but I mean, the Red Sox did not act poor with Chaim Bloom as their CBO. They were more shrewd than they had been under Dombrowski.
Definitely more shrewd.
But I mean, what were they, 12th this year? Like, that's money to spend on
Yeah,
decent.
but as Passon pointed out,
Probably unlucky as well with injuries.
more so last year than this year. But
No,
I mean,
well, they were this year too, but
a little bit.
but,
But
I
even
mean, listen,
then,
they-
that
they-
excuse only carries you so far. You know what I mean?
yeah, like,
Well, I
well,
guess
their top three going into the season had a combined age of like 36 or 35. I mean, it was your top.
So
three
some
was
of that's on
Kluber.
the front office.
average.
Then why are you going into with that as the rotation?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if your top three in the Lord's year of 2023 is Corey Kluber, Chris Sale, and James Paxton, I don't know what you expect, frankly.
That's what I mean.
well,
So
at the beginning of the season, and I will continue to defend Heim, but at the beginning of the season, we were excited about all three of those pitchers. I mean, Kluber
think we were excited about
Corey
I think that's revisionist
that's not
history.
true.
That
is not true.
One more quick point.
Okay.
One more quick point to what you brought up about the spending money, about being 11th in spending this year. Then we have to take a quick step aside for a commercial break. Then we'll be right back into it. Passon pointed out the 4 years we won championships, Jake, in the top 3 of spending, and they're 11th this year. Like, I understand it's not chump change, it's not nothing, but
Well, if I'll rebuttal to that real quick, I don't think Heim needed a championship in his tenure to save his job and get a second.
no, I don't think so either. But what's
I mean,
coming up
I
on
think-
potentially 3 out of 4 last place finishes
Yeah,
in one
it's hard to spin 3 last place.
like
I mean,
insanity
that's-
run. Yeah.
Yeah,
But a last place finish in the AL East. A last place finish in the AL East is
that's the division you're in. They've been in it for
That's
25 years. I don't know. I mean,
Sophie, you know who hangs their hat on that same wall as the AL East? The team that finishes last in the AL East. That's the team that will hang their hat on that. The other 4 are going to say, yeah, I still finished last. Still last place. You know? Let's take a quick step aside here for a quick ad, and then we'll be right back.
This is a good conversation.
We're back. Pawn on Lansdowne. Jake, Fitz,
That was a quick one.
Sophie.
That
It was a quick one. Yeah, because
I wasn't ready for that.
yeah. So here's the thing. Let's bring this back into John Henry, because John Henry, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't have the quote in front of me.
Hates Jews.
I heard the same thing actually. That's so crazy.
You're hearing it more and more, aren't you?
Allegedly.
He said with this announcement, he said that this is a change in direction for the organization. Again, every
Wait, he
4
spoke
years.
today?
He
I'm being
released a
sincere.
In a
statement.
statement.
In a
Oh,
statement.
okay.
No,
Kate Ryan
he was
said-
not at the press conference. No.
I was like,
Whoa.
Whoa.
I tweeted this to kind of, quickly change a quote from Omar from The Wire. Worrying about John Henry no showing at a press conference is like wondering if the sun's going to come up. Of course he skipped town on this. Of course he left it to of course he left it to Smithers, Sam Kennedy. Who is this? Oh, Chaim Bloom, sir. You're president of baseball operations. Bloom, hey?
Kennedy.
How remember that name? But
You're quite good at turning me on.
my name is Mr. Burns. I believe you have a letter for me. But Henry released in the statement, he said this is again, paraphrasing, change of direction for the organization. Which, again, every 4 years, it's like the Olympics. It feels like this happens. The final testament of the Chaim Bloom era, again, this is coming from a Chaim centrist. I'm not full-on Bloominati. I'm not full-on, Chaim hater. I get both sides of it at times. The final testament of the Bloom era is going to start to be set in stone this offseason, in the sense that, like, what prospects are going, what prospects are saying, what moves are being made, the moves that Chaim Bloom would not be making. Because I can't imagine they're going to have a guy who has the same sort of, transactional philosophy as Chaim Bloom. I think they're going to try to make big splashes this offseason, trade deadline if they're in it, and going into the 25 season as well, if they are full-on going to be changing their organizational philosophy. With that said, I believe Ed Hand tweeted this, don't get attached to any prospects in the system right now. There is a world where Anthony is traded. There is a world where, one of the top pitching guys, Nick York, gets traded. There is a world where Marcelo gets traded. I don't think that happens, but
A very bad world.
yeah, I would not want that to happen. But I think you're going to see some big shakeups and big splashes coming into Boston this offseason, because I think the team, and more specifically Henry, is sick of standing idly. That maybe they want to spend some more money, which we've been begging them to do for a long time, thank God. And B, and again, not to keep bringing up the Over the Monster podcast that released on yesterday as you're listening to this on Friday, I think John Henry has been embarrassed the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, it's frustrating, and it feels childish to have this team be at the whim of someone who is just so caught up in his public perception, because I truly don't think personally that the Red Sox necessarily needed a complete change in direction, because when we looked at the future of the Red Sox, we were excited. The next year's Red Sox team, because of Heim, is exciting. And so to say that we need a complete general philosophy switch and the Red Sox need to go in a different direction, I don't necessarily feel is fair. And so then if you're going to be just kind of like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks because you want to do something big and you want to make a change because you've gotten, shit for the past couple of years, that doesn't feel like a thought out, calculated, or at all intelligent way to move forward.
John Henry doesn't do a whole lot of thought out things when it comes to the Red Sox front office, to be fair.
I guess my after a couple hours of thinking about it, it's like I don't know if Heim, I think he did fine. I do to a point. I do.
He did exactly what he was asked to do coming in: get under the tax, try to get something for Mookie, and try to win while spending efficiently. That's what he didn't. Well, he tried to win.
He didn't though. That's what I'm saying.
At the end of the day, it wasn't enough.
Really.
Yes.
I mean, it's
so,
3 left.
Again, I get both sides of this. I get both sides.
That's what I'm saying. So
on the
I
fence
think
here.
it's I think to be super pissed that he's gone is probably a little dramatic, because it's I don't think he was crystal clear.
I mean, shit, your lovely GF just sort of, the fucking riot act. Read it on.
I take dramatic as a compliment, actually.
He's fucked up a couple times, and it's,
But he's made some great calls as well. But
yeah,
it's,
like when he traded Kike. He fucked up.
Well, paying Kike some would call the fuck up the first time, but the second time, I mean, I get, it's just this is annoying, but I don't think you can make a real judgment call until you see who they hire.
That's what I'm saying.
Obvious,
right? The full testament, because people are going to be quick to say, "Oh, it was a bad idea. Oh, it was a great idea. It should have been gone." Again, with the assets, the farmhands that has been acquired under the Bloom era, seeing what that results in will give the final testament of the Bloom era. Sherrington left.
They shouldn't have fired him.
But was he going to be able to make that jump?
Yeah, that's my thing,
know.
Fitz. I mean,
I don't
this
know.
Sounds this is cold. I am completely ignoring the fact that he's a living, breathing human being. But it's he did he did the dirty work, and it's okay, great. And now I don't think you lose out pulling the plug now, I guess. It's
you could
throw someone in there who has paid well, again, I don't even know who's fucking
Dombrowski comes back. Deal and Dave comes back.
Bring him home.
Well, that's the thing, is what you're losing out on is the potential for further benefit from having Heim, of seeing what comes next year, realizing
we don't know what the next step of Heim is, if there even is a next step. Would he be a guy who spends in the top 5, top 3, goes well over the threshold to ensure that this is a championship contending team? I don't know if that's
Heim
there.
Did the last 4 years is his MO was, do not trade these good prospects for major league talent. And
it set the team up in a hopeful sort of sense from
that.
there. Yeah.
I'm saying, but that was his. He had to be the fall guy as far as don't. I mean, the CBO does not draft. There's teams behind
CBO, Chief Business Officer,
or what is it?
Oh, Chief Base. I thought you were talking about the competitive balance tax. I thought so. You said CBO, but I guess that also makes sense.
I was thinking community-based organization.
Officer, right? Chief
yeah, CBO. I thought you were trying to say CBT. Never mind. Continue.
There's teams that put these drafts together, put these international signings together. So ultimately, that's not that like you're not screwed because you fired Heim as far as acquiring that talent that to start out. It's the GM.
You're very
I would
burpy
say
today.
ultimately is like the free agent signings and the trades, and frankly, I don't know. I don't think he did a great job at either of those. I don't know. Jury's out.
Yeah, I mean, I think a solid year from Yoshi. There's things to improve on, though.
Yeah, I mean, you look at. Yeah, I mean,
I think that what he was really good at was signing the people that people and you said that he caught the undervalued guys, but I think that is probably what
Some, not even all, but some of the shots he took worked.
Yeah, and I think when you have an ownership that is putting very strict limits on specific aspects of your job, that is the most valuable possible trait in a successful GM is being able to catch those undervalued guys. It's like Moneyball, kind of. Not
Sure.
saying that Heim did Moneyball.
But again, to borrow a quote again,
They won in Moneyball.
from Dan.
No,
I
they
feel-
didn't.
They didn't win the World
They
Series.
did not
but
win the
were-
World
They
Series.
were making the playoffs in Moneyball.
They still haven't
Yeah.
won the World Series under him.
Again,
movie.
it's not. I'm not trying to make this the entire just rehash of what Brian and Dan brought up, but Dan brought up a great point. Like the greatest Dan Secator, our editor-in-chief over at Over the Monster, who also had an emergency
yes, of course.
Heim
I'm
episode.
very
You guys are broski. You go drinking every Tuesday.
Totally.
You know,
Dear
golfing
friends,
on the
dear
weekends.
friends, dear friends. Father-in-law.
The best asset that the Red Sox have is their ability to spend, and finding that value, diamond in the rough kind of guy.
That's half
of
the
course,
battle.
that's great. It's half the battle, but of course, that's great to have. At some point, the chips have to be pushed into the table, and I think Bloom is a guy who's a bit wary of that, for right, wrong, or indifferent. We're getting to the point now with the Red Sox where it's like, okay, farm system's very strong. You've got controllable assets. Casas, you don't have to pay for a while. If you want Durant in the fold for a while, you're not going to have to pay him for a while. Story's on a fair enough of a value if he ends up being healthy and he can step.
Well, fuck. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, the one.
Well, he has to
contract
rebound in 24 to be fair
Bloom's
for that
handed
to
out
work.
is kind of a dud so far.
Yeah, right. That's one thing.
Characterization.
It's not. He fucking tore
hasn't
his
worked.
elbow and sucked ass.
But
And
that's-
they knew
year.
the elbow was an issue. That's why he got him at that price. Now, if
Yeah.
he ends up playing well, then it could be a value. That's my point. But you've got Devers locked up. You've got other guys like Bayer you don't have to pay for a while. Sale will be coming off the books. You're in a fine financial situation with a strong farm. What are you going to do with that? Because you also, those young guys who are controllable, core pieces of the team. Listen to everybody.
Well, I'm willing to concede that there's an argument for getting rid of Heim. What I am frustrated
Just wrote a letter
about
for the
and
guy.
why
I did not think you were going to say that.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
I think that, like, in the grand scheme of things, there is an argument for trading Heim. I do not think
Trading
there is
Heim.
getting rid of Heim. I do not
Mansplaining.
think there is an argument for getting rid of Heim now. I think if you look at the Red Sox and where they are at and you take it up to a higher level, is Heim really the problem this season? Is that really what is...
This season, I actually think is the biggest indictment on Heim. I think before
Defense
this
was
year,
so dog shit. The defense that we rolled
yeah,
out
I
in
think
this
before
rotation we
this
rolled
year,
out,
it was
dog
much easier
shit.
to be like, okay, like they've been rebuilding, and it's like, but you have the middle of your lineup. That's like a playoff. They're not like a World Series team anyway, but like Casas, Devers, Turner, that should like win you more
Solid
games.
enough.
Yeah, than it has. I mean, the pitching was so fucking bad this year.
Yeah.
And the defense is like staggeringly bad. I just don't. Yeah, I
Genuinely think it was the worst defensive team I've seen in my lifetime for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an exaggeration.
no. I just Fitz, like I said, more. Hold on, I've got the quote right here. A wrong decision is better than more is lost by indecision than wrong decision. Fitz.
There you go.
And I think that was the risk they were not willing to take this offseason. I guess that's what it ultimately comes down to. I think it's like they couldn't really. You're fucked if you're bad again next year.
A quick sidebar. I've learned a lot about the process of podcasting by being on today, and I've found that one of the core tenets of putting together a podcast is looking up tweets you saw earlier and Googling quotes so that you can
we don't
share
Google
them
the
and sound
quotes most
smarter
of the
than
time.
you are.
I think they just, I actually looked at this a couple days ago. The Red Sox have not missed the playoffs 3 years in a row since the 90s.
No, there was one. We discussed this. There was one run. This is not. This
I don't
is-
even
10,
think-
10
Yeah,
11,
this-
12.
yeah,
10,
there
11,
was.
12 was the
Okay,
last
so
time
there
they
you go.
missed the
Still bad. Yeah.
But
Still a long time.
Still
Then they
bad.
won a World Series the next year. So I mean,
Yeah, right.
bodes well for next year.
So you can't, you really, and even the 2010 team was legitimately decimated by injuries, and then 11, that was a good team until it wasn't. Yeah, I just think I think more than anything, ownership decided that he was not that guy to handle this very important offseason.
Yeah,
Right?
because
I
of
mean,
his track record. I think we're on the same page with that.
That's the
And again,
the skinny.
I think as much as people want to rush to the judgment, which I understand, I think the final verdict of the Bloom era will be dictated on, okay, what prospects worked, what prospects didn't work, because the defenders will always point to that. Oh, he built up the farm. Okay, so what was done with that? Anyone come up and become
That's
a huge
true.
difference
What if they
maker?
come up and they suck?
Were some of those guys packaged for, this workhorse ace for the next couple of years that this team desperately needs? What if they're duds? So so much is going to be done over this offseason and, the trade deadline next year and a couple off seasons to come even, where we're going to feel the ramifications of what was done and what was not done by Chaim Bloom in the next couple of years. So I don't think his story is completely written, much to other people's, I think people would disagree with that, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with that. This is just my take on the situation.
Hence why he should not yet have been fired.
A lot of people are speculating that this was I say a lot. I saw it once or twice, so I don't want to say that this is
That
a
it's
huge
an
thing.
anti-Semitic hate crime.
Well, I was going to say, I know your take on the matter.
No, that's actually the pretty common consensus.
I think if you look it up there, it's trending.
Yeah.
But some people thought it was a Chaim or Cora deal. Do you buy that? Because I don't.
I don't buy that at all,
No.
really, because I think it's not like, they could fire both. What teams have done that before?
Yeah, if you really wanted to start over with a fresh
that's not
slate,
like a ridiculous
right?
idea.
Yeah, no. And then some people think, oh, well, Cora's gonna pull a Brad Stevens and go upstairs and be the president of baseball ops. I don't buy that either. I don't think that's
No.
gonna happen.
I really don't think Cora played a part in this at all, frankly.
No,
Maybe he. No, yeah, no. I
don't think
just.
I mean, I'm sure he was advised on it, but I don't know if his take was, if his opinion was being taken into account.
Yeah, Fitz. I mean, like I said 2 short days ago, I'm exhausted.
And you know
This
what?
is an exhausting time to be a Red
But
Sox
you know what? I actually, for this specific instance, Jake, I sort of disagree with you because we are finally over the major Chaim discourse, especially online.
No, we're not.
We will.
No, we're not.
No, we will be.
We are on the path to being.
We're on the last 18 here. We're on
Yeah.
hole 18 of it,
Yes.
basically. It's going to be over.
The last 18. The whole
Soon
thing is
enough-
18, Fitz.
You get my point. The anti-Bloom people are going to stop saying, oh, the Bloominati this, the Bloominati there, blah, 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 blah. The people who are so
Strikingly similar to the anti-Semitic rhetoric.
Me doing that or the other people?
Well, the people you are imitating, not you yourself. Mr.
I was gonna say, I was like, whoa. And then the people who are so overly pro Chaim Bloom won't be coming onto this podcast and reading out the Declaration of Independence on this show.
Can we?
but-
I want to go back to the idea of Cora Brad Stevensing it.
All set.
Sorry, do you know what that means?
Going up, taking the role of
Mansplaining. Oh yeah. You know managers?
Follow the Celtics like
Name
that.
No.
45
Not
managers
since
who have
Grant
turned into
Williams
GMs.
left.
Yeah, no. Talk about a trash organization.
Yeah.
Celtics in the gutter now that Grant Williams is gone. It's pretty devastating.
If he hit both, maybe he would have stayed.
My
but he
statement was like 4 pages longer for that one, but I here's a scenario. Well, first of all, honestly, I think that it would be very interesting because the way he does the relationship building, like he flies to like Puerto Rico to talk to players, and I think that he would have an interesting take on it. But
You can't
more
do
of
that
the
if
point,
you're a GM. It has to be impersonal. That's like everyone says that.
no, I don't like that. I reject that. And
Okay.
then that would open up the position of manager for Gabe Kapler. And then you would rectify the anti-Semitism, bring a Jew back to the Red Sox.
I was gonna
organization,
say, speaking
bring a
of-
sexy Jew back to the Red Sox organization,
Whoa!
and
Ow!
finally have someone who isn't like someone who's a little politically active in the positive way in the organization. I think that's a perfect scenario. And
Of course, a
if you're
good
listening,
guy,
John,
as far as I can
I
tell.
think you should move forward in that direction. Thanks.
So back to what I was saying, like at some point this discourse is finally gonna run its, no pun intended, its course.
2040 or so.
Yeah, maybe
When
this is
Marcelo
just
Meyer fucking retires.
yeah, maybe
that'll
this
be the
is
end of it.
this is just
When
the
he's put in the
beginning,
Hall
yeah,
of Fame.
right? Yeah. So, but I don't know. That's basically kind of all I have to say on the matter, Jake. Do you have anything, any final thoughts before we call it an episode?
I just hope. Well, I'll tell you what. I met Haim twice. Lovely man. I mean, just from a personal standpoint, and you'll hear that from anybody, even all the
Yeah,
reporters have said that.
everyone has
Good
said,
dude.
yeah, he's a good guy. Yep.
He like stays,
And he'll land on his
talks to
feet
you.
too. He'll land on his feet. He'll end up with some organization.
I tweeted
and
this
he'll-
immediately after the firing. It's like I think he is a good GM. I don't think he's cut out to be like one of those 5 or 6 major market GMs. If that, and it's like that's fine. There's 25 other teams.
I adore him.
But
I'm
I
trying
don't
to think like where he would be a perfect GM for right at this point in time.
like
The Mets.
like Cincinnati or something.
No, there aren't Jews in Cincinnati.
There's plenty of Jews in Cincinnati.
In
The
Ohio.
Mets when he doesn't speak.
Well, yeah, but
he
they're
plays bloom ball. That's the
But
whole.
they're-
fucking
If
thing.
if he couldn't do Boston, there's no way he could do Queens. There's
Yeah.
no way.
Maybe like
Kansas City.
yeah, one of the that
Sophie's
organization's
foot.
run like
Jews
shit.
there.
I'm sure there is.
Maybe like Pittsburgh.
Get rid of
They have
Sherrington.
Jews there.
Well, Charrington's there, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
They
they
did
hate
have a
him.
synagogue
They
shooting.
hate Ben Charrington in Pittsburgh. I follow a couple Pirates fans. They think he's not good at his job. Is Ben Charrington
Me
Jewish?
too. No,
I don't know.
no, that's a very waspy name.
Okay.
It's out of character to not have a Jewish. Oh God, can you imagine how devastating it would be if the next GM wasn't Jewish? What would
Dave
he do?
Dombrowski wasn't Jewish.
Yeah, but he didn't count. I mean, he's like,
I don't know. You're
Oh,
done.
after
You're done. You're done.
think. Well, the good news is after Judge's grand slam, Devers did just hit a home run, so it was a 1-run, and we're still losing. But
Well, Fitz,
Isn't
I
that
don't
the
know
thing
about you.
this season?
I'm all for losing out at this point.
Lose out in funny fashion. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I say.
yeah. Get me a
Have
draft
fun
pick.
with it. Go out, you little
The
rascals.
Sox have
make your Looney
seemingly
Tunes errors,
hit on most of their first rounders the last few years.
even especially Teal, right?
Teal, Marcelo, fucking Mikey Romero. Well, anyway, yeah, I'm a bit scattered-brained tonight, but it's a big night for the Sox, big day,
Yeah.
and I'm scared, frankly.
Nah, you can't kill me now. It's can't kill a man who's already been down.
But I'll tell you what, I'll be there opening day next year, Fitz. I mean, I'll keep drinking that garbage.
you know what? And if the next GM brings Bobby Dahlbeck back to Boston,
Oh,
he has
there it
my
is.
vote.
Took 44 minutes to get there,
Yep.
but we finally did. So, all right, that's gonna do it.
That time
Emergency
is
episode there for you. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back for our regular episode Wednesday morning. Until then, that's Sophie. That's
Want to do the
Jake.
grid, Fitz?
Yeah, right. I don't even think I did
You
it
want to
today.
crank it out? Want to do speed grid?
Right? Like
People
try
love
to
the
speed
grid.
run it.
I'll do it right now. Let's do it. You want to do it?
For Jake, for
It's
Sophie,
easy.
I'm Fitz. You've been you. Thanks for listening.
Oh, let's do
to
the grid, Fitz,
Hot
do
on
the grid with me,
Lansdowne.
Fitz.
Again, we'll talk to you next week. Until then, go Sox and obey a mother.
Obey your mother.
Sophie has to say it.
Not muted.
I know, he just ignored me.
Oh, okay.
Sophie, you have to say obey your mother.
Say obey your mother.
No, I'm not going to say that.
You have to. We can't end the show until you do.
You're never coming back if you don't say it.
It's probably best for my career.
Yeah, it is actually. Fitz, just end the episode.
Obey your